Is it visible to you, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
This is part of the unit 4, that is design and reinforcement detailing of two-way slabs using Indian Standard Code. The point included in this is distribution of slab load on beams. This we have already learned when we design the beams. So that part is already discussed with you. You already know how to distribute the load coming from slab on the beam. So only we will consider now from part 2 the design of two-way slabs. Now you already we have already discussed about the introduction or definition of two-way slab, that is the slabs or the slab panels which are supported on all four edges and that deform with significant curvatures in two orthogonal directions are called as the two-way slabs. That is the two-way slabs, they are supported with, along all four edges of the slab, and when a load is applied to this slab, the slab deflects in both the direction. That is, the deflection is along x direction also and along y direction also. Okay, so as the deflection is along both the direction, the main reinforcement is provided along both the direction in two-way slabs. If you recall the concept of one-way slab, in one-way slab the deflection of the slab takes place in one direction only. The slab is supported by the two edges which are parallel and opposite to each other, and hence the deflection is taking place only in one direction, and hence we provide the main reinforcement only in one direction. In another direction we provide the distribution steel. Okay, now in case of two-way slab we provide the main reinforcement in both the directions, so there is no question of providing the distribution steel. In case of two-way slab we provide the main reinforcement along both the direction, that is along x span and along y span, both the direction. Okay, so the two-way slab normally deform in the form of a dish or a saucer. Okay, you can imagine how the deflection will be. It after deflection the two-way slab looks like a dish. Now the two-way slabs are actually classified into two types. One is the slab which is simply supported on walls or the beams, and the corners of the slabs are free to lift. Now you can just imagine one example, that you are putting your notebook along its four edges. Okay, just keep some block all around the four sides of your notebook. Just rest your notebook on those four blocks and put a weight on your notebook, and you observe how your notebook is showing a deflection. When it deflects, when it takes a shape of a dish, the corners of your notebook will uplift. This uplift will be with a very small amount, but the corners will get uplifted because of the weight whatever you are placing on the corner on your notebook. So in the same fashion, when you consider a two-way slab which is resting on all its four edges, when we apply a load on the two-way slab, the corners of the two-way slab slightly gets lifted up. Okay, so this is one case or condition. Or we can classify a slab in the first type, that it is a simply supported slab which is resting on walls or beams and the corners are free to lift. Now when we don't want to lift these corners, or when we don't allow to lift these corners, it means we have to arrest that lifting action. It means we have to provide some rigidity to these corners so that the corners will not get lifted up. That will be the second type of the two-way slab. The slabs which are supported on columns, these are cast monolithically or monolithically with beams, or the slabs which are supported on walls but the corners are not free to lift. Obviously, when we provide restraint to any particular movement, the force will get developed at that particular restraint. Like in case of a fixed support, when we restrain the moment of a particular end with respect to its vertical movement, its horizontal movement, its rotation, in all these three directions we get the reactions. In the same fashion, when we arrest the lifting up of the free corners or edges, corners of the slab, obviously some force will get developed at these corners, and this force is always developed in the form of a torsion. Okay, so when the corners of the slabs are not allowed to lift freely, the torsion will get developed in the slab, and we need to design the reinforcement to take care of this developed torsion at the corners of the slab. So these are the two classifications basically for two-way slab. One is the slab in which the corners are free to lift, and second is the one where we do not allow the free lifting of the corners, because of which the torsion is developed in the slab, and we need to design for that torsion also. Okay, so this is just a picture showing how the four edges of, or four, sorry, four corners of the slab gets lifted up when a load is applied on a slab, and when these lifting up of corner is arrested, the torsion get developed at the corner of the slab. Okay, now obviously, when we deal with the design of the slabs, we have to definitely consider the bending moments developed across the slabs. Now, considering these two cases of the two-way slabs, that is the first case when the corners are free to lift, and second is when the corners are not free to lift, the bending moment developed in the slab will be of having a different magnitudes. And obviously, their values whatever for calculation of bending moment coefficients for the rectangular two-way slab, which is resting on four sides, and when the corners are freely allowed to lift upward, or the corners are free to lift upward, the coefficients are calculated by making use of this particular table. Now, and when the corners are not allowed freely to lift up, there are different cases, and according to these cases, this is the another table showing the different coefficients. Okay, now first case we will discuss about the first case, that is the case in which all the four corners of the two-way slab are free to lift, and the slab is simply resting on four edges, so it is considered as a simply supported two-way slab. Okay, now when the corners are not allowed to freely lift up, there are 9 different cases in the two-way slab. The first case is the one which is identified as an interior panel, in which all the four edges of the slab are having some continuity along its four direction. Okay, that is all the four edges of the slabs are continuous, and all at these corners we need to provide the torsion reinforcement. So this is the first case in which the slab is identified as an interior panel, that is the slab is continuous along all its four edges. Now the second case is the one where one edge of the slab is discontinuous and other three edges are continuous. Continuous means what? There is some another slab is there at this side, on this side, on this side also, in such a fashion that the steel which we are providing for this slab, it will get continued in the side slab. Okay, or the slab which is constructed besides this particular slab. This indicates the continuation of the edge. Okay, so this is the second case in which all the three edges are continuous and one edge is discontinuous. Now that one edge may be a shorter edge or a longer edge. Depending upon that, there are two cases now. Okay, that is the second case is the one in which one short edge is discontinuous. Third case in which one long edge is discontinuous. Fourth case is the one where the two edges are discontinuous and two edges are continuous. So the fourth case is two adjacent edges are discontinuous. Adjacent means one short and one long edge are discontinuous, one short and one long edge are continuous. This is the case for case number 4. Then case number 5 is two edges are discontinuous, but which two short edges are discontinuous. Okay, these two short edges are discontinuous, whereas two long edges are continuous. Sixth case is the opposite of the case number 5, that is two long edges are discontinuous. These two long edges are discontinuous, two short edges are continuous in this case. Seventh case is opposite to the third case. That is, three edges are discontinuous and one long edge is continuous. So three edges discontinuous, one long edge continuous. Eighth case is opposite to the case number 2. That is, three edges are discontinuous and one short edge is continuous. And the ninth case is four edges, all the four edges are discontinuous. It means there is no any slab, or maybe the slab besides this particular panel, but all these may be the one-way type of a slab, and hence the steel reinforcement from this particular slab may not be continued in the adjacent slabs. Okay, is it clear to everybody, all these 9 cases?
Yes, ma'am.
So now, depending upon all these 9 cases, the next table is there. You must understand all these 9 cases first, so that for all these 9 cases, how to consider the coefficients for bending moment calculation. Now, the concept of coefficients for bending moment calculation we have already discussed in yesterday's lecture. For continuous one-way slab design, we have already discussed how the coefficients are given for finding the bending moments for different conditions. Okay, the same concept is used here for two-way slab. So all these are the coefficients which are used for different cases of the slab. Okay, and all these 9 cases we have just now discussed with you all. So before going to the design steps of two-way slab, I just wanted to show you all these clauses in IS code, IS 456. So I request everybody to open IS 456, page number 90, which is referred as Annex D. Are you able to see this code on the screen right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
open page number 90 of IS 456 2000 Annex D. Now everything related to slab spanning in two direction, it means it is a two-way slab. Slab spanning in two direction, everything, all the clauses related to this are given in Annex D. The tables which I have shown you right now, this is a table showing all the 9 cases and their corresponding coefficient is given here, table 26 on the next page, and table 27 gives the another coefficients which is applicable for first case, that is the corners are free to lift. For that this table is to be used, and corners not free to lift, but considering the continuity of the edge, this is the table which you have to refer for finding the coefficients. Okay, so these are the clauses. Now I will go to the clause. I need to read all these, both these pages, because everything is given regarding the design of two-way slabs on these, through these 2 pages in IS code. So let us start reading. Restraint slabs. When the corners of a slab are prevented from lifting, the slab may be designed as specified in D1.1 to D1.11. So all these clauses are applicable for the slab in which the corners are not allowed to lift. Okay, D1.1 to D1.11, all these clauses are for the slabs which are in which the corners are not allowed to lift. See, when the corners are allowed to lift, you have to go for the second clause, that is D2, simply supported slabs. I'm going to refer this first because this is easy to understand. Once you understand this, then we will go to the little bit difficult part. So let us come to the second part first, simply supported slabs. When simply supported slabs do not have adequate provision to resist torsion at corners and to prevent the corners from lifting, the maximum moments per unit width are given by the following equation. So mx and my. Now if you recall the design steps for design of one-way slabs, we have calculated the ultimate moment and ultimate shear force by making use of different formulas. For simply supported slab, uh, students, just a moment, I'm getting a frequent call from one number. I will just have a discussion and then we'll join your lecture again. Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
students, are you
Yes,
able to
ma'am.
listen to me? Okay, let us continue with the point. That is the moment calculation for one-way slab. For simply supported one-way slab, we have used a formula that is WL square by 8. For continuous slab, we have made use of the coefficients. In the same fashion, for two-way slab, we do not recall any formula or nothing. We have to make use of these formulas directly for finding the bending moment. Now, as this slab, two-way slab is spanning in both the direction, the moment will be developed in both the direction. In case of one-way slab, we have calculated only one moment along the shorter span. That is mx we have calculated. But we have not written it anywhere as mx because it was the only moment for which we designed the slab. Now, in case of two-way slab, the moment is developed along both the direction, that is x and y, and along both the direction we have to provide the main steel. So there will be two moments. Then we have to calculate two ASTs, right? Along the shorter span, along the longer span. So the two moment values are calculated by using this formula. Mx equal to alpha x wx l square, wlx square, and my is equal to alpha y wlx square. Please note the formula. WLX square is common for both. Alpha x and alpha y is the only change. Now alpha x, alpha y, these are nothing but the coefficients, bending moment coefficients, and these are given here as bending moment coefficients for slabs spanning in two directions at right angles, simply supported on four sides. In the case when the corners are allowed to lift freely. Okay. So alpha 1 is alpha x and alpha y. These coefficients are dependent on a ratio of longer span to shorter span. So Ly by Lx we have to find out first, and depending upon the given value of Ly by Lx, the alpha x and alpha values are given. Suppose your Ly by Lx values coming as say 1.28, which is not there in this particular table. It is 1.28 and the values for 1.2 and 1.3 are given. So obviously you are supposed to interpolate the value for 1.28 and find out what is the value for alpha x and alpha y. Okay, is it clear to everybody? The table.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Now what is mx, my and wx? That is given in D1.1. So I will quickly go there to explain you what is mx, my. So mx and my, these are the moments on strips of unit width spanning Lx and Ly respectively. Lx, Ly, these are the lengths of shorter span and longer span respectively. W is the total design load per unit area, and alpha x, alpha y are the coefficients. Okay. So this is regarding the simply supported slab. Just a moment, guys. I have to take a call. हॅलो. सोनावणे, मी लेक्चर मध्ये आहे. मी तुम्हाला 2 नंतर फोन करते. हां, ओके. हॅलो. Students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what is the next clause given here? I'm simply reading here. At least 50% of the tension reinforcement provided at mid-span should extend to the supports. The remaining 50% should extend to within 0.1 Lx or 0.1 Ly of the support as appropriate. So this we have already discussed regarding the bent up bars. 50% will remain present in the tension zone and 50% will be in the compression zone. The same is given over here. So this is regarding your first case, that is the slab which is simply supported on all 4 edges and the corners are free to lift up. Now, coming to the second case, that is when a slab is supported on 4 edges but the corners are not free to lift up. In that case, the maximum bending moment per unit width in a slab is given by this formula. Mx equal to alpha x wlx square, my equal to alpha y wlx square. Now the formula for both the cases for mx and my is same. The difference is for with the alpha x and alpha y values. These are the coefficients, and for this case, that is when the corners are not free to lift up, alpha x alpha values are to be used from this particular table, that is table 26. So again here the Ly by Lx ratios are given, and the Mx and My values are to be given. and all these values from column number 3 to 10 are for alpha x, and for alpha y 11 column values, or the values given in column number 11 are to be used. Okay, so I will just discuss regarding the first case. When it is an interior panel, it means all the four edges are continuous. The negative moment will be developed at the continuous edge and positive moment will be developed at the midspan. So for negative moment, these are the coefficients for alpha x and this is for alpha y, whereas for positive moment these are the coefficients for alpha x and this is for alpha y. Again we have to calculate the span moment and support moment separately, and by making use of the same formula, mx equal to alpha x w lx square, or along y direction my equal to alpha y w lx square. Okay, alpha x and alpha y values for the corresponding moments, that is either support moment or span mid-span moment, you have to collect from this table. Okay, similarly for different cases, all these 9 cases are covered over here. For 4 edges discontinuous, it means there is no continuity for the slab is not continuous. In that case obviously there will be no support moment, only the midspan moment will be there, and that positive moment coefficients are given here. These are for alpha x and this is for alpha y. Okay, is it clear? So how to make use of this table? So when we solve one problem, you will definitely get the clear idea about use of these tables. Now coming back to the clauses, see guys, all these clauses are important and you should understand it very well. The next point is slabs are considered as divided in each direction into middle strips and as shown in figure 25, the middle strip being 3/4 of the width and edge strip 1/8 of the width. Now all these clauses are related to reinforcement detailing, how the reinforcement should be provided for two-way slab. One-way slab, we do not divide the slab into middle strip or edge strip, but for two-way slab, we need to divide it. And according to the middle strip and edge strip requirement, the reinforcement is provided. Okay, so how it is divided? So if this is the LX and LY direction, the middle strip is divided as 3/4 of LY. So this is the middle strip value, and this is the edge strip LY by 8. Okay, this is along Y direction. Similarly, along X direction, this edge will be Lx by 8 and the middle strip will be 3/4 of Lx. So actually for this middle portion only we are designing the reinforcement. Okay, that is for positive moment. Whatever the positive moment will and for that whatever the reinforcement we are calculating, that will be provided for this middle portion. Along the edges we are supposed to provide the reinforcement which we calculate for support moment. Okay, and that's why these strips are made in the consideration while providing the steel reinforcement. Okay, now the maximum moments calculated as in D 1.1 apply only to middle strips and no redistribution shall be made. So whatever the moments we are calculating by making use of these formulas, that steel is to be provided in the middle portion only. Now the tension reinforcement provided at mid-span in the middle strip shall extend in the lower part of the slab to within 0.25 L of a continuous edge or 0.15 L of a discontinuous edge. Now you need to recall the detailing diagram which we have discussed during yesterday's lecture. In yesterday's lecture, I have shown you a cross section of a continuous slab and I explain you that how the reinforcement is extended in the support, how it is bent, at what distance it is bent, and for what length, how much length the bars are to be extended in the support region. For discontinuous edge, the bars are bent at a distance of 0.1 L from the face of the support and the bent bar are provided in the compression zone. But from the same point, the remaining 50% bars are extended in the support region, in the lower region itself, that is in the tension zone, up to the distance of 0.15 L. Okay, this is for discontinuous edge, whereas for continuous edge, it is 0.25 L. This we have already discussed during yesterday's lecture. At the end of today's lecture, again, I'm going to show you the diagram so that your concept will get clear. So whatever the explanation yesterday I have given, all those explanations are already given in code itself. So there is no need to mug up those values, okay? These values are given here. Over the continuous edges of a middle strip, the tension reinforcement shall extend in the upper part of the slab at a distance of 0.15 L from the support, and at least 50% shall extend a distance of 0.3 L. This also I discussed that over a continuous support, when we bend a bar into the compression zone, the bar should extend into the second slab or second span of the slab for a distance of at least 0.3 L. Okay, so this we have already discussed, which is provided here, or the clause is given here in annex D. At a discontinuous edge, negative moments may arise. They depend on a degree of fixity at the edge of the slab, but in general, tension reinforcement equal to 50% of that provided at midspan extending zero point 0.1 L into the span will be sufficient. So at the discontinuous edge, again 0.1 L for that much span, 50% tension reinforcement are to be provided. Now the reinforcement in edge strip parallel to that edge shall comply with the minimum given in section 3 and the requirements for torsion given in D 1.8 to 1.10. What is section 3 now? Shall we go to section 3 in the code? Let me check. Minimum reinforcement in section 3. I have to refer now your page number here. Section 3. Section 3, general design consideration. Here the minimum reinforcement clause must be there somewhere. Continuous. Requirement of reinforcement. Okay, somewhere here. Minimum eccentricity slabs. Okay. I think it is related with the redistribution of not redistribution, distribution steel. Okay, so the minimum reinforcement clause. Can you just tell me the page number? The clause associated with distribution steel is somewhere around 38, 39. Guys, are you there in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, distribution steel, page number
Page
48 and
number
46.
48.
Page
Huh.
number 40,
8.
48. Yes.
8 and 46.
46. Let me check first. Requirement of reinforcement for structural transverse reinforcement, maximum spacing, no. Minimum reinforcement, the same clause, this one. The mild steel reinforcement 0.15%, if mild steel is used 0.12%, if edge bias rebar. So same requirement is there, or the condition is there to provide the minimum reinforcement in the edge strip. Okay, so for, if I will go back to your annex D and the same clause which we were reading right now, that the reinforcement in edge strip parallel to that edge shall comply with the minimum given in section 3 and the requirements for torsion. Now, as I have told, in case of the slabs which are not in which the corners are not free to lift up, we need to design it for a torsion, and the torsion reinforcement is always provided at the corners, because the corners we are not allowing to lift them freely. We are restraining the corners, and hence the torsion will be developed at each corner of the slab, and hence the torsion reinforcement is provided at each corner in the slab. Okay, now how it is provided, its description is given over here. Now based on this description only, we are supposed to write down the formulae and calculate the area of torsion reinforcement. So listen to this very carefully. Torsion reinforcement shall be provided at any corner where the slab is simply supported on both edges meeting at that corner. It shall consist of a top and bottom reinforcement, each with layers of bars placed parallel to the sides of the slab and extending from the edges a minimum distance of 1/5 of the shoulder span. I repeat, it shall consist of top and bottom reinforcement. It means the reinforcement will be in the top zone also and in the bottom zone also. That is in compression zone also and in tension zone also. And of the slabs, uh, sorry, verity bottom reinforcement, each with layers of bars placed parallel to the sides of the slab. It means the bars will be in Y direction as well as in X direction. So it will be like a mesh. It will be like in the form of a mesh. There will be one top mesh and one bottom mesh. Okay. Extending from the edges a minimum distance of 1/5 of the shorter span. So whatever is the shorter span, lx by 5, that much should be the extension of these bars in the side or edge strip. The area of the reinforcement in each of these four layers means uh, top mesh, there will be two layers. One is along Y and another along X. Bottom mesh, again two layers. One is along Y and another along X. So area of each layer shall be 3/4 of the area required for maximum midspan moment. Now the maximum midspan moment we calculate by this formula, mx and my. So 3/4, that is 3/4 of mx and 3/4 of my. Okay. For that, we have to calculate the area. Now, instead of considering mx and my, whatever the area of the steel we have calculated for the midspan moment, that is ASTX and ASTY, it's 3/4. That is 3/4 means 0.75. So 0.75 of ASTX and 0.75 of ASTY, that much area of reinforcement is provided as a torsion reinforcement. This is very important to understand how the formula is, how we have arrived at at a formula for calculation of area of the torsion reinforcement. Is it clear to everybody? Detailing of torsion reinforcement.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now this particular torsion reinforcement with this 0.75 times of ASTX and ASTY is to be provided at the corner which are discontinuous. Okay, the corners, both the corners are discontinuous. If the corners are continuous, how it is provided? See the next clause. Torsion reinforcement equal to half that of described in D1.8. That is whatever the area described here, half of 0.75, that is 0.375, shall be provided at a corner contained by edges over only one of which the slab is continuous. That is, one edge is discontinuous and other edge is continuous. In this case, at that corner, the torsion reinforcement will be half of the area whatever we provide at the corner where both the edges are discontinuous. Okay, this is regarding the torsion reinforcement area. Now the torsion reinforcement need not be provided at any corner contained by edges over both of which the slab is continuous. It means if you consider an interior panel in which all the four corners are continuous, right? So when both the edges are continuous, there is no need to provide the torsion reinforcement. If one edge is continuous, another is discontinuous, half the area of the torsion reinforcement is to be provided. And when both the edges are discontinuous, 0.75 times ASTX and 0.75 times ASTY, that much area of the torsion reinforcement is to be provided at the corners. Is it clear, students? Students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
झेपलेला नाही वाटतं, आवाज अगदी बारीक येतोय. Yes, ma'am. Okay. The last clause, the torsion Ly by Lx is greater when Ly by Lx is greater than 2, the slab shall be designed as spanning one way. Okay. When obviously this is a condition for one-way designs, design of one-way slab. So forget about this clause. We have already discussed this in our earlier lecture. Okay. So Annex D, I suggest each and every student here to read all the clauses again given in the Annex D with a calm mind to understand what are the various clauses given for design of two-way slabs. Now we will come back to the design steps. And when we will move ahead with the design steps, we will come to understand how referring Annex D is important. Okay. Now, most of the design steps in two-way design are exactly similar to that of the design steps for one-way slab. Only the difference is that we have to consider the design of torsion reinforcement, and we have to calculate the moment in a different fashion by making use of the coefficients. The coefficients are given in a different tables, and we have to calculate the two moments and two area of the steel. Rest all steps are exactly similar to that of the design of one-way slab. Okay, let us start with the steps now. First step is assuming the trial depth. The formula is same, span divided by L by D ratio into alpha x. Now this L by D, again we have to consider Lx and Ly separately. So there will be two depth value, dx as well as dy. We have to calculate two depth values, okay? Dx, dy, because there are two spans. And for both these spans, we are designing the steel now, okay? Now the deflection control L by D ratio, the clause is same. For cantilever, it is 7. For simply supported, it is 20. For continuous slab, it is 26. All these clauses are same. Alpha 1 modification factor by referring figure 4 of IS 456. The method is exactly same. Initially, we have to assume the percentage steel depending upon the grade of steel. Then making use of the graph, find out alpha 1, put the value here and find out dx. Okay. Now the depth of the slab is always calculated from the top of the slab up to the CG of the main reinforcement in that direction. This is very important. When I am calculating dx, I am using Lx. So it means I am providing a reinforcement in a shorter span, direction. So dx will be the depth of the slab up to the center of the steel provided in a shorter direction. Now, just imagine a slab and how we are placing a reinforcement in the slab. In the slab, this reinforcement along the shorter span is placed first. All the steel bars are placed at its location in the shorter direction first, and then the reinforcement in a longer direction is placed above the reinforcement provided in a shorter direction. So in case of the two-way slab, when we calculate the depth in y direction, dy, this depth is to be considered up to the CG of the reinforcement provided in y direction. Okay, this is very important to understand. So dx and dy will not be same in case of two-way slab. Dx, dy will always be different and dy will be always less than dx, because we always place a reinforcement in shorter direction first, and above that then we provide the reinforcement along longer direction. Is it clear? Dx and dy. Then the next step is determining the effective span. Again, there are two effective lengths we have to calculate, Lx effective and Ly effective of the slab. So again, the same clauses which we have referred for one-way slab, you have to refer and find out Lx and Ly. Then the next step, calculation of load, the same procedure, dead load, live load calculation. Then calculation of design moments. Here we have to calculate two moments, MUX and MUY, by making use of appropriate formula, alpha x, alpha y, finding the coefficient by referring appropriate table. Then next is check for moment resisting capacity, MUR max. Again, the same formula is there, RU max into BD square. Here, the MUR max in x direction will be calculated by considering dx here, and it is compared with MUX. Similarly, MUR max y is calculated by putting dy value here, and it is compared with MUY. So again, MUR max value will be two values, one by considering dx and another considering dy, and both these values will be compared with MUX and MUY respectively. Then the next step, calculation of main steel. The same formula is to be used, only when we use the formula, when you use MUX here, you will get ASTX. When you use MUY here, you will get ASTY. Okay, both these ASTX and ASTY are to be checked against the minimum area requirement or AST minimum, and then spacing is to be also calculated separately for ASTX and ASTY. Then based on this calculation, decide what is the area of the steel provided along X direction and along Y direction. Then next important step and additional step to that of your one-way slab design is calculation of torsion reinforcement. As I have discussed, this is to be provided in 4 layer. AST for torsion is calculated as 0.75 times the ASTX, both edges when it is considered as discontinuous. When one edge is continuous, it is taken half of this value, that is 0.75 by 2, 0.375 ASTX. Okay, whatever is for mid-span positive moment, for that we have to calculate the torsion. See, this is the diagram. You will get the clear idea by referring this particular diagram how the torsion reinforcement is provided. So this is the mid-span area, and these are the edge strips. This is the edge strip. Okay. Now in the edge strip, consider this particular corner in which both these edges are discontinuous. So here the torsion reinforcement is provided in the form of a mesh. So this is one mesh which is at the top, and there will be another mesh which is at the bottom level. So if you consider a cross section, it will look like this. Okay, so there are the bars in a grid format at the top and the bars in the grid format at the bottom. Either these two meshes are provided separately, or sometime a U-shaped mesh may also be provided. Okay, so this is provided at the corner where both the edges are discontinuous. Its area will be 0.75 times ASTX. Okay, and for what length this is to be given? As per the clause, it is 50% of the shorter span. So it is 0.2 of LX. Okay, 50% of the short span. So this distance must be 0.2 LX. Similarly, this distance must be 0.2 LX. And for this much length, the torsion reinforcement is provided. Now, when you come to the another edge where, or the corner where one edge is discontinuous and another edge is continuous. So this particular slab has a edge which is continuous. That is, there is one more slab, and that is also a two-way slab. And then only we can continue this steel from this slab to the another slab. Okay, so the deciding slab also must be two-way slab. Then we can consider that this edge is continuous. If there is a one-way slab here, then this edge is to be treated as discontinuous. Please keep this in mind, because you are going to identify all these cases in your term work for your selected plan. Okay, so the edge, besides that edge, if there is a one-way slab, the edge is to be treated as discontinuous edge. Okay, if there is a two-way slab only deciding one particular slab, then only this particular edge is to be considered as continuous edge. Now for this particular corner here, there is a discontinuity and there is a continuity in the edge. This area is straight away half of whatever the area provided here. So it is half of 0.75, that is 0.375 ASTX. And again, it should be provided for the same length, 0.2 LX in both the direction. And this should also be again in the form of 4 layers, that is 2 layers in the top and 2 layers in the bottom. Same at this corner, because one edge is discontinuous here and this edge is continuous. So whatever is the area we are providing here, the same will be here. If you consider this interior joint or the corner where both the edges are continuous, in this case there is no need to provide any torsion reinforcement, because at this particular junction no torsion will be developed. Okay, is it clear, everybody? This diagram is very important to understand. Students, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the next step, that is check for deflection. It is the same one, that is we have to calculate the percentage steel provided and compare it with the assumed one. Instead of doing this lengthy calculation, it is better to compare only the percentage steel. Next is check for shear. The steps are exactly same, whatever we have used for one-way slab, design of one-way slab. And check for development length. The steps are again exactly same, whatever we have used for design of one-way slab. Okay, so this is the picture or diagram showing the detailing of reinforcement. Again, this diagram I have taken from SP34. Okay, here again we have to show the main reinforcement in both the direction. See here as bent up bars in this fashion. Bent up bars mean it is a main reinforcement. Okay, so if this is the main reinforcement along shorter direction, its detailing are given here perpendicular to this reinforcement. This is my main reinforcement along the LY, that is longer direction. Its details are given in this direction perpendicular to this reinforcement. Okay, now the distances at which the bar should be bent, it is already given 0.1 Lx and 0.1 Ly, and in this particular box you are required to specify the thickness of the slab. The larger thickness, now there are two depths, dx and dy, the larger one is to be specified in this box. Now this is the cross section along y direction. You can see here the dots or the circles provided here, these indicates the main reinforcement which is provided in a shorter direction. So the main reinforcement in a shorter direction is placed first. Above that, the reinforcement in a longer direction is placed. So this horizontal line is nothing but your main reinforcement. This is the reinforcement in tension zone, and the 50% bar is bent and it provided in compression zone. All these distances and the area, everything is given in this diagram. So this is the cross section detail along the shorter direction. Okay, so understanding this diagram is also important. Here, though it is written as distribution bars, these are the distribution bars which are provided at the support only. At the support only in the compression zone. Again, why in the compression zone? Because to take care about the shrinkage and temperature variation, and only at the support this is provided in case of two-way slab. In case of one-way slab, all the bars provided in LY direction, these are the distribution bars. Is it clear, this diagram? Students?
Yes, ma'am.
समजलंय ना? आज फारच आवाज कमी येतोय मला. फक्त एकाच मुलीला समजले का क्लासमध्ये?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So these are the details showing the age, strip distances and all that. We have already discussed this, and it is already given in IS 456. So we will stop today now, and let me give you the attendance link in the chat box. Next lecture, we will solve one numerical example based on design of two-way slabs. Then the concept will be more clear to all of you. Okay. So I have given you the attendance